Now then, a few weeks ago, we heard about a new instrument developed right here in Coventry and Warwickshire. It's called the P-bone, and it's a plastic trombone. It's not just any old plastic trombone, though. So far, 60,000 have been sold, and the business is going from strength to strength. I met the creator and designer of the P-bone, Hugh Ashley, and asked him how he came up with the idea for the instrument.
It sort of evolved. It wasn't a snap moment, but there are already products out there which have a similar basis. Like the Vuvuzela was huge during the World Cup a couple of years ago, and that's been around for donkey's years. And Simon Hogg, an old teacher of mine, he had a Vuvuzela on his shelf for years when he was teaching, and I thought we could expand this and we could turn a whole instrument. And I suppose that's where it started from, was that potential. So,
and if you'd like to know whether the plastic trombone sounds any different to a normal trombone, we asked Hugh to give us a demonstration. So firstly, here's the sound of the brass trombone. Okay, so that's the brass.
It's the brass one.
Brass one, okay. And now the plastic one. That's amazing. You cannot tell the difference. Well, recently, Simon Hogg, who Hugh mentioned there, took some plastic trombones to Uganda, and he's here to tell us about his trip. Simon, good morning, Director of Music Performance at Warwick School.
Good morning.
You took 30 of these P-bones to Uganda. Why?
Well, about 6 weeks ago, I met a parent, and he said, I've got a fellow BA pilot who's involved in a charity in Uganda, and there are various orphanages. In fact, 60% of children in Uganda are orphans through AIDS and through conflict. Unbelievable proportion. And this guy went over there. He's an amateur trumpet player, and he found 3 orphanages where they have brass bands. And these children go and play music in order to make a bit of money, so that when they leave the orphanage at 17, 18, there is a fund for each one of the children, and they can start their lives independently. So I thought, well, maybe I can make a cheeky email to Hugh and the guys at P-bone, and maybe they'd give us a trombone or two. Within 2 minutes, ping, it came back on the email. They gave 30 plastic trombones, which is really generous. And 5 minutes later, they said, Simon, would you like to go out and be our ambassador in Uganda, deliver the trombones, and maybe just start the kids off with a couple of lessons? And so
that's where the story started.
That's how it started.
It's amazing. You were very much part, according to Hugh, when he came in to talk to us about these plastic trombones. You were very much. He said he would take each particular next stage of the development round to you and get you to play it, and you go, you just need to do this and you need to do that to it. You were very much part of the development of it.
Hugh spent about 2 years working, and he'd come round to the house. It all started because Hugh was at Warwick School, where I work, and he learnt the trumpet there. And when somebody learns the trumpet, what we do, a little demonstration, we get an old garden hose pipe, put a mouthpiece in one end and a funnel in the other, and you play a tune. And everyone's amazed that actually you can play music out of a hose pipe. And then you have the Vuvuzela, that's been very popular. And so we got this idea that maybe a trombone, it's so simple, it's just two
you
parallel...
You brought one in, go on, just, you brought the plastic one in.
Yes.
Here. And obviously you are...
Do you want a blast?
Yeah, go on, give us a blast.
Okay.
Here we go. Oh, wow. And from your point of view, professor of trombone, would you find any real difference between that and the brass?
No, it plays beautifully. I mean, the advantages are they're cheap, they're light, destructible.
Great for kids.
Great for kids. And, of course, they can be any colour. So that the ones we took to Uganda were in the Ugandan national colours.
Oh, wow.
So yellow, red and black. And from a educational, from a marketing point of view, you could walk around with a trombone every day of the week, but you walk around with a plastic trombone, which is bright yellow.
Colour. Everyone takes notice.
Everyone takes notice.
You went to a number of places in Uganda to work with kids, most of them orphanages where, as you're saying, because of the percentage of youngsters who don't have families. What kind of standard of playing were they at?
Oh, I mean, we worked with 3 brass bands, and the first band, there were mentally and physically handicapped children. So, I mean, these were children who were, challenged physically and mentally. But, I mean, they could play, and they didn't use music, but the teacher they had would sing a tune, they'd copy it back, and they were playing. Then there was a more advanced, and then the senior band played extremely well. And we brought over a load of new repertoire. They'd never had music stands before. So Warwick Music paid for these 30 music stands, and we hired some chairs, and they sat down, and they learnt music as quickly as that.
Really?
Fantastic.
There was one lad I think you met. I mean, such is their determination to learn, because presumably such is their drive to progress and move on in life and get a skill. I think there was one lad you wrote about in your blog, who in 2 years got himself to grade 8.
Astonishing. This is a pianist, and he didn't realise that the piano had music, so he would take a cornet part and he'd take a bass part, and he'd be looking, and he'd work out, and then somebody gave him some lessons. In 2 years, he got to grade 8. There
Amazing.
was another boy, I mean, there are so many stories. There was a boy called Tadeo, and this boy, when he was 1 month old, his mother went out. She left the hut he was sleeping with a paraffin lamp, which fell over. The whole place burnt down. He's lost both arms, he's lost his legs. But he wanted to play an instrument, and he's taught himself to play the trombone. And you hear these stories again and again. Terrible. A boy called Desire, a hunchback boy, and he's too weak to play an instrument. Yet halfway through a concert that we did, he stood up and marched the front, and he started conducting, and the whole audience just dissolves. Wonderful, wonderful people.
How did you find Uganda?
Uganda is amazing. It's actually top destination on the Lonely Planet 2012. We didn't see any lions or tigers or gorillas, but we met amazing people. Very, very friendly people living in awful circumstances. The World Bank puts it in the bottom 10 countries in the world. People living on $1.50 a day. But get outside the cities and it all changes. Tea plantations, very lush, beautiful vegetation.
How did the youngsters take to the P-bones and suddenly holding these plastic trombones for the first time?
Well, they couldn't believe it. These children have got nothing. And, they've sort of just somebody taking a bit of care and a bit of showing a bit of interest and a bit of love. But to be given a P-bone, I mean, it blew them away.
And they got to keep them?
Oh, yes, 30 instruments.
Wow. And as ensembles, I mean, was it the Mummy Foundation or orphanage that you went to?
Yes.
And there's some amazing pictures on your blog of these kids just sitting there playing, and they've got music in front of them, they're learning to read music.
Yeah. The Mummy Foundation is quite different. It's very, very special. We went to 3 orphanages. The Mummy Foundation is just for girls. It's a refuge. And a lot of these children are the daughters of prostitutes. And it's just somewhere for the girls to go during the day whilst their mothers are, doing their business. And it was a very, very special place. And it's not much more than a couple of rooms, very dark, but with wonderful people running it. And then the children all sang Heal the World. Again, a big emotional moment. And they gave us presents. I mean, people who have got nothing, street children on the margins of society, and you get something beautifully wrapped in newspaper and a present. Incredibly generous.
How did you find teaching them?
Well, it's the easiest thing in the world. They are desperate for opportunities. They grasp education, and it's very, very humbling. Makes me go back to the wonderful school and institutions we have in this country. Makes you realise just how lucky we are, and it makes you want to go back and to do more and more. It's a great. I'd urge anybody to go out there.
What's the legacy now of the P-bones that have been left out there in Uganda for the groups to work with?
Well, I think these groups will carry on. The way they are developing is just fantastic. There are wonderful people out there working for them. I would like our own school to develop these links. I know the headmaster and the deputy headmaster are very, very keen on this, sending boys out to work with the musicians as pupils and so on, but also perhaps somebody going out there for a gap year for 3 months, for 6 months. A wonderful opportunity for any 18-year-old.
And as you say, the kids in Uganda who have nothing really, they will end up having a skill for life. They will have some money because they'll earn some money from playing, which will take them on through life. All from an idea that started in Coventry and Warwickshire.
Yes, incredible.
It is incredible, and more trombones, I'm sure, to be sold. What next now? Then you're going to go back?
Oh, definitely. I hope so. This charity is called Brass for Africa. It's run by a wonderful guy called Jim Trott. Very, very small, virtually no administration costs. Go to the website, have a look at Brass for Africa, read the blog on P-Bone, and
no more.
Yeah.
It's funny, as we've been talking, we've been getting texts through. One here from Martin who says, what about making a saxophone? Could they make a saxophone? If they do, I want one.
Well, I think you can make anything. Why not?
Such as plastics nowadays. I should point out this is no plastic toy. This is a real McCoy, but like you say, indestructible for the kids to play with. Maybe saxophone next.
Maybe
trumpet.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
I think there are 12 trumpet players to every one trombonist, and there's probably 120 saxophone players. Yeah. So there you go, Hugh.
Watch this space.
Get onto it.
All right. Martin in Stychel, thank you for your text on that. And thank you very much indeed, Simon Hogg.
Thank you, Annie.
I'm sure this won't be the last we'll hear of the P-Bone.
On the pitch.